You're at a party. Everyone laughs at the same jokes. Everyone agrees with the same opinions. Everyone seems to follow a script you never received. And you stand there, smiling politely, while a voice inside you screams, "This isn't real. None of this makes sense." Or maybe it was at work. Everyone accepts that useless meeting, that purposeless project, that toxic culture disguised as corporate family. And you wonder, am I the only one who sees this as all theater? Am I the only one who feels like we're wasting our lives? No, you're not alone. There's a song playing that only some can hear. A different frequency, a deeper truth that whispers beneath all the social noise. If you hear it, if it bothers you, if it won't leave you in peace. Welcome to the Club of Misfits. There's something magnetic about the idea of not conforming. It's not teenage rebellion or existential tantrum. It's something deeper, more visceral. It's that feeling when you see a friend accepting a relationship that's clearly killing them inside, just because it's what you do. It's the knot in your stomach when you witness someone burying their dreams to follow family expectations. It's the quiet rage when you realize how people settle for crumbs of happiness. The nonconformist can't accept this, not out of arrogance, but from a kind of existential allergy to falseness. They feel an internal compass that points to a different north. This compass didn't come with an instruction manual. It has no warranty. Sometimes it seems broken, but it's there, insistent, relentless, whispering that there's a better way to live. It's like having a superpower nobody asked for. You see through social masks. You notice when people are playing roles they hate. You feel the dead energy of empty conversations, the sadness disguised as normalcy, the silent desperation of wasted lives. And it hurts, because you realize that most people are trapped in prisons they built themselves. Prisons made of should, must. Everyone does it this way. Prisons with golden bars, maybe, but prisons nonetheless. But being different comes with a price few are willing to pay. Remember the last time you expressed an opinion that went against the grain? Did you feel that awkward silence? See those looks of, here they go again? Notice how people subtly change the subject? That's the first warning. Society has sophisticated methods for punishing those who dare step out of line. It doesn't need prisons or courts for most cases. It has something much more effective: social exclusion. You become that person, the weirdo, the drama queen, the difficult one. In the family, you're the one who was always different, and that's not said as a compliment. At work, you're the one who asks too many questions or doesn't fit the company culture. Among friends, you're the one who overthinks everything or takes things too seriously. And the worst part is that sometimes you start believing these labels yourself. You wonder, maybe the problem is me. Maybe I should stop questioning so much. Maybe I should just accept and move on like everyone else. That's the most dangerous moment, because that's when you might give up on yourself. That's when you might trade your authenticity for social approval. That's when you might bury your inner voice under piles of conformity. And society loves when that happens. Another soldier in the army of normalcy. Another one who learned not to make waves, not to question, not to bother. But some refuse to give up. Throughout history, brave thinkers have explored the dangerous territories of nonconformism. They mapped the abysses of individuality, the mountains of authenticity, the deserts of existential solitude. 3 of them stand out as beacons for those who dare to walk alone. Ralph Waldo Emerson, the gentle revolutionary who turned intuition into philosophy. Albert Camus, the stranger who found freedom in the absurd. Friedrich Nietzsche, the visionary who declared war on human mediocrity. 3 temperaments, 3 eras. One truth: authenticity is worth any price. Emerson said, "Society is a joint stock company in which the members agree, for the better securing of his bread to each shareholder, to surrender the liberty and culture of the eater." Think about that. How many times have you sacrificed a piece of yourself to fit in? How many times have you kept an opinion you knew was true because you knew it would be poorly received? How many times have you pretended to like something you found mediocre? Each small concession seems harmless, but they accumulate, like grains of sand in an hourglass, until one day you wake up and don't recognize yourself in the mirror anymore. Camus showed this brutally through Emerson, the protagonist of The Stranger. Meursault is disturbing because he refuses to pretend. Imagine, your mother dies and you don't feel like crying. Everyone expects tears, ostentatious grief, performances of pain. But you simply don't feel that. You feel other things, relief, maybe, or a strange peace. But you don't feel what you should feel. What do? Most would pretend, would play the expected role, would cry, force tears, wear black clothes, say appropriate things about longing and eternal love. Meursault refuses. He goes to the funeral but doesn't cry. He meets a woman the next day and makes love to her. He goes to the movies, laughs, lives as if nothing had changed. And society cannot forgive this. It's not what he did that shocks. It's what he refused to pretend to feel. When Meursault kills a man on a beach, under complex circumstances involving scorching sun and a situation spiraling out of control, his trial becomes an absurd theater. The judges aren't really interested in the crime. They're interested in his coldness at his mother's funeral, in his refusal to show remorse, in his indifference to social conventions. They want him to cry, to beg forgiveness, to repent, to accept religion as comfort. He refuses. And for this refusal, for this brutal honesty with himself, he is sentenced to death. Camus' message is crystal clear. Society forgives almost any crime, but never forgives inconvenient authenticity. Have you lived this? Have you ever been condemned not for what you did, but for refusing to play the role they expected of you? Have you ever been punished not for your mistakes, but for your honesty about them? Meursault finds a strange peace on the eve of his execution. He embraces the gentle indifference of the world and realizes there's a form of freedom in accepting that life doesn't need to make sense to be lived with dignity. This is the most dangerous freedom, the freedom to live without justifications. While Camus explored the absurd, Emerson planted seeds of a gentler revolution. For him, each person carries a spark of the divine, a wisdom that is more trustworthy than any external authority. Trust thyself, he whispered through the centuries. But it's not easy to trust yourself when everyone is shouting that you're wrong. Remember that time you had a strong intuition about something, a relationship, a job, an important decision, and everyone around you said you were crazy? Remember how you doubted yourself? How you let others' voices drown out your inner voice? Emerson would say you lost touch with your divine spark. This spark isn't capricious. It's the result of all your experience, all your sensitivity, all your accumulated wisdom, conscious and unconscious. It processed information your rational mind didn't even notice. It connected dots your logic couldn't reach. Your intuition is your greatest treasure. But society teaches you to distrust it, to always seek external validation, to ask permission to be who you are. To be great is to be misunderstood, Emerson wrote. Think about the moments when you felt most alive, most true to yourself. I bet they were moments when you were being original, authentic, different. Moments when you weren't trying to impress anyone or follow predefined scripts. These moments are clues. They show who you really are when you stop trying to be who others want you to be. Originality doesn't mean being different just to be different. It means being true to your deepest nature, even when, especially when, the truth isn't convenient. If Emerson was the gentle revolutionary, Nietzsche was philosophical dynamite. He wasn't content to question social conventions. He declared war on human mediocrity in all its forms. For Nietzsche, conformity isn't just limiting, it's a betrayal of our highest nature. He looked at humanity and saw a herd of sheep, content to follow shepherds who promised security in exchange for freedom. He saw people who preferred to be led rather than lead their own lives, who preferred ready-made answers to disturbing questions. And this enraged him. Man is something that shall be overcome, he declared. Not overcome in the sense of being discarded, but transcended. Like a snake that needs to shed its skin to grow, humanity needs to leave behind its self-imposed limitations. Nietzsche called this transcended version the Übermensch, the Overman. The Overman isn't a superhero. It's someone who had the courage to create their own values instead of inheriting others' values. Someone who took total responsibility for giving meaning to their own existence. This scares most people. It's much more comfortable to believe there's a greater plan, a higher authority that can tell us what's right and wrong. It's terrifying to think we're completely responsible for our choices and their meanings. But Nietzsche argued that this dependence keeps us in a state of perpetual spiritual childhood. Think about how many of your most fundamental beliefs you've actually examined. How many you inherited from family, school, culture, media? How many you accept not because they make sense to you, but because they're normal or expected? The overman questions everything, tests different values, experiments with different ways of living, and gradually builds an ethical system that is genuinely theirs. It's not a comfortable process. Nietzsche knew that questioning fundamental values can lead to what he called nihilism, the feeling that nothing really matters. It's the abyss that opens when you realize many of the things you believed in were just human constructions without objective foundation. This abyss terrifies many people back into conformity. At least, they think, if I follow the old rules, I don't have to face this emptiness. But Nietzsche saw nihilism as a necessary stage, a painful but essential cleansing. Only by passing through it can you build something genuinely new. It's like renovating a house. Before building something beautiful, sometimes you need to demolish rotten structures. The danger is getting stuck in the demolition. Some people discover their old values were empty constructions and stop there. They never get to the next step, building new values based on their authentic experience in nature. For the three philosophers, Emerson, Camus, Nietzsche, the path of the loner isn't a road already paved. It's something you create by walking. Each step is a choice. Each choice is an act of creation. You can't simply copy another nonconformist's life. You can't be Thoreau living alone in the forest, or Frida Kahlo transforming pain into art, or Steve Jobs revolutionizing technology. You need to discover your own form of authenticity. And this requires courage of a different kind. Not the courage of the soldier fighting external enemies, but the courage of the explorer venturing into unknown territories without map or guarantees. The courage to experiment, to fail, to be misunderstood, to be alone, if necessary. But also the courage to accept that your journey matters, that your unique perspective has value, that the world needs what only you can offer. Maybe you work in an office and your form of nonconformism is doing your job with an integrity others consider excessive. Maybe you're a parent and your rebellion is raising children who think for themselves instead of just obeying. Maybe you're an artist and your revolution is creating things that really touch the soul instead of following market trends. There's no single model of authentic individuality. There's only one question. Am I being true to myself? And this question needs to be answered every day, in every small and large decision, in every moment when you choose between others' approval and your own conscience's approval. This constant choice can be exhausting. There will be days when you want to give up, days when loneliness will seem too heavy, days when you'll look at normal people and envy their apparent simplicity. It's normal. Every loner goes through these moments of doubt. Every nonconformist has days when they question whether it's worth being different. But then something happens that reminds you why you chose this path. Maybe it's a moment of genuine connection with someone who really sees you. Maybe it's the deep satisfaction of having made a decision that was right for you, even though it was unpopular. Maybe it's simply the peace of lying down at night knowing you were honest with yourself during the day. These moments are like oases in the desert. They remind you that authenticity has rewards that conformity can never offer. The energy that emerges when you stop spending strength trying to be someone you're not. The creativity that flows when you stop censoring yourself to please others. The deeper relationships that form when you attract people who love you for who you really are, not for who you pretend to be. And the unique contribution you can make to the world. When you live authentically, when you develop your particular gifts, when you follow your individual vision, you offer something no one else can offer. It might be a work of art, a scientific innovation, a compassionate way of treating people, or simply the courage to be yourself that inspires others to do the same. The size of the contribution doesn't matter. What matters is that it's genuinely yours. And in an era when so many people feel lost, disconnected, living lives that don't belong to them, maybe the most revolutionary thing you can do is simply be authentic. Show that it's possible to live differently. That it's possible to question without becoming cynical. That it's possible to be different without being cruel. That it's possible to walk alone without being alone. Because there's an invisible community of loners scattered around the world. People who, like you, chose the road less traveled. Who, like you, Prefer the uncertainty of authenticity to the security of conformity. You may never meet physically, but you share something precious: the courage to be real in a world that often rewards falseness. The price of individual freedom is high. It would be a lie to say otherwise. You may lose friends who can't accept your evolution. Family members may be disappointed with your unconventional choices. Colleagues may see you as a threat or a weirdo. You may be ridiculed, marginalized, misunderstood. You may face professional difficulties for not playing the game like others. You may go through periods of loneliness that test your determination. You may question your own choices in the darkest moments. But consider the alternative. Consider the price of not being authentic, the cost of living someone else's life, the pain of reaching the end of the journey and realizing you never really lived. You just played roles others wrote for you. Consider the emptiness of relationships based on social masks, the frustration of jobs that don't honor your values, the deep sadness of dreams buried under others' expectations. This price may seem smaller day to day, because it's paid in small installments of sacrificed authenticity. But in the end, it may be more expensive than anything individuation demands of you. When you choose the path of the loner, when you decide to be faithful to your deepest nature, you're making a bet. You're betting that a life lived with integrity is worth more than a life lived with social approval. You're betting that truth is more precious than convenience. You're betting that you have something unique to offer the world, something that can only emerge when you stop trying to be like others. It's a risky bet, but it's also the only bet that can lead to a life that is genuinely yours. Know that you are not alone. There's a lineage of free spirits that crosses the centuries. People who, like you, heard the call of authenticity and had the courage to answer. Who paid the price of freedom and discovered it was worth every sacrifice. You're part of that lineage now. Your journey matters. Your perspective has value. The world needs your unique version of humanity. For you who feel this call of the soul, who hear this inner whisper asking to be more truthful, more courageous, more yourself, there's a special invitation waiting. In the exclusive ebook here on the Alchemy and Archetypes channel, you have exercises that can help you in this process. And if this video resonated with your soul, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving your like, because this way more people will be able to watch. After all, in a world where so many feel lost and disconnected from themselves, maybe the most generous gift we can offer is living proof that there's another way, a way home, to ourselves.